Honestly, on the list of PlayStation games to get turned into movies, this wouldn't have been that high up on my list. Gran Turismo, or Gran Turismo based on a true story, which I think what the official title for this is. This is a story of Jans Mardenborough, a gamer obsessed with Gran Turismo, who gets the chance to enroll into a boot camp with the opportunity to finally race in real life and take on the elites. As you might have guessed, it's based on a true story, and that story itself is, to be honest, really interesting to read about. But the movie itself really walks this tightrope between mediocre and fun, and I think unfortunately falls more into the former than it does the latter. It's directed by Neill Blomkamp, who did District 9 and Chappie, and has some great stars in like Orlando Bloom and David Harbour, so maybe I was just, I don't know, expecting a bit more from this one. It felt like a show you'd find on Rick and Morty when you're watching the intergalactic TV, and it's just so by the numbers generic that it almost feels like it's a deliberate parody, except from Gran Turismo is definitely doing this on accident. Just the little things like the blatant arsehole eating an apple, or you have an engineer character, so how do you introduce him? You have him wrenching a bolt underneath a car in a garage and he wheels out with his skateboard on his back sort of thing. And it's just such a simple, predictable story, you know, the racer wants to be a racer and that's his dream, but the dad says, no, you need to play football and get a real job, and no, you don't believe me, Dad, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And it's just, yeah, and it's also quite a long film, 2 hours, 15 minutes I think it is, should not be that long. But I will say for how generic it is, it's presented beautifully, it looks great, and the last 45 minutes of this film felt like an entirely different, more enjoyable movie. Like, I did a watch check and we're about an hour and a half in, and then we follow from the events of what happens at the Nürburgring and then the final race, and I was just glued to the screen from then on. It was just insane how much of a different shift we had there. The writing suddenly felt less generic, and all of a sudden we had this amazing show of, oh, cars racing. Who'd have thought that's what we needed for this movie to be a success? Archie Madekwe plays the main lead here, and look, the writing's pretty bad, but I'm also curious how much of him getting this role was because he looked very similar to the person in real life. Wasn't too great. Like I also said, Orlando Bloom's in here too, and because of that bad dialogue, that bad writing, fortunately everything he said just sounded like this really terrible voiceover for an epic movie trailer or something that you'd find on YouTube. On the other side of the coin, you have David Harbour, who I think really carries this film and is absolutely the best part about it. And you also have Djimon Hounsou, who, if he had more to do, would have also been spectacular. He's only got 2 scenes, and the second scene he's in, he's absolutely incredible in. I would have just loved to have seen more of him here. So yeah, you have that 50-50 factor here again, but there was just one really distracting thing that topped it over, and that was Geri Halliwell playing the mother. Honestly, really took me out of this one, and I was fully expecting some sort of Christian Horner or Max Verstappen cameo because of it. And there's also a lot of sponsorship in here as well. It's a GT game, so there's obviously going to be a lot of self-flating over the game itself, which I can look past, I get that. And I can also look past the aggressive car sponsorships as well, which, you know, it's a car movie, you want to see these cool looking cars, that's fine. But you had things like Puma, I'm pretty sure Tokyo Tourism Board had a big part in this too. You have all the Sony products, it just brings a lot of heavy eye roll moments. I also feel like this movie just couldn't quite decide on what its audience was either. I feel like this movie was made intending to appeal to those that are fans of Gran Turismo, but they've generalized it so much to reach for a wider audience that those that are really interested in the game and the sport itself will call bullshit on a lot of things that go on in here. Like racing on snowy ice tracks, or speeding in the pit lanes, or the fact that one car just aggressively shunts another car mid-race and there's just no penalisation for it whatsoever. That would 100% be dealt with in a real race. Even the tension of the officials just not knowing who came first, like, come on man, they'll know this stuff. It also just doesn't trust you to keep up with the race, so there's a lot of awkward pauses where it'll tell you what position the main character's in and what lap we're now on. It felt jarring and made the race feel a lot more slow because of it. Ironically, it doesn't do that so much in the final act, which is why that last race is way more fun and entertaining. I feel like I've probably said all I can on this, to be honest, and to be honest, this is probably one that at best you'll just watch when it comes out on streaming. It's too long and there is some great stuff in here, but it's just bogged down by some bad writing, corny dialogue, and egregious advertising. So yeah, that's Gran Turismo. It came out this week, so maybe you've already seen it. If you have, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. If you found this video entertaining or helpful, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe and all that. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews on movies, anime, and video games. Until next time guys, take care. Bye bye.